So we're finally here at the end of round 5, and man, this may have been one of the most beautiful ending fights we've seen yet, just based on the fight choreography in chapter 41. And we got so many touching moments with Raiden and Thrud. There was a moment with his mom in the crowd, so a lot of tragedy all around between these two chapters. But we have a winner now, and I don't really know how to feel about this because the writing and how everything went down just felt very weird in my opinion. So I'm sitting on mixed opinions at the moment that I'll be explaining now. So yeah, let's just get into it. At the start of chapter 40, we see Shiva get up, and even he himself admits he could barely stand, meaning his strength and energy must be absolutely minimal, and that's just from the fact that he was blown back by Raiden's sumo move at the end of chapter 39, and we already knew his balance was also off beforehand since really early on in the fight when Raiden crushed one of his arms. So after losing 2 more, you would expect his balance should only be worse, on top of the fact he could barely even stand, but yet somehow this suddenly doesn't matter apparently, because out of nowhere he suddenly reveals he could accelerate his own heart rate to activate some final form that literally starts to burn at his own flesh. And it's not really explained how Shiva is able to recover his strength or his balance or his stamina or his endurance, and we're just supposed to believe it's magically recovered, I guess, considering he literally said a moment ago he could barely stand, but yet somehow now he's able to move enough to dance apparently. So yeah, even the Hindu gods don't say much about his new form to help understand how this was even possible, so I guess we're just supposed to believe it. But even more than that, we also see Raiden suddenly start to suffer from his own recoil, and this is also just really sudden, especially considering this is only happening because of the strain he's been putting on himself, which feels also really weird, I guess, because this implies it has nothing to do with the drop kick he got from Shiva back at the end of chapter 38, which was the most damage he took from Shiva the entire fight up to this point, it seemed. But no, that's not true at all apparently, because now the most damage he took was actually from his own muscles, and this is all happening in chapter 40, so almost like everything before this chapter just didn't really matter for the most part. We also find out that Raiden's muscles are now suddenly just barely holding themselves together, which again is also another weird convenience that's being revealed here. And this chapter has a lot of those weird conveniences, like Shiva being able to recover his strength and balance out of nowhere, and Raiden suffering heavy damage from the recoil, and now the fact that his muscles are barely holding themselves together. So a lot of things that just sort of happen for the sake of happening. So I don't know, this feels very somewhat rushed in my opinion, because it's not like any of this was foreshadowed, especially considering how good Raiden looked in chapter 39 and the fact it almost looked like we were going to see more of his forbidden sumo moves after it was confirmed he had 4 in total. We even get a narration that says Shiva and Raiden have both tapped into their deepest secrets of their martial arts, which seems to feel only half true considering Shiva didn't even need martial arts to begin with if fire and flames was all it took to counter Raiden's muscles. So even trying to claim this is a fight that grounds itself on being about MMA now doesn't feel as right as it did when, you know, Shiva and Raiden were throwing judo flips and Russian hooks like in chapter 32. And again, if this is truly where they both penetrate their deepest secrets about martial arts, we've only gone so far as to see Raiden do 1 out of his 4 top sumo moves. So this doesn't feel as true as it should be, especially for Raiden, given the fact that he was dominating Shiva the entire fight up until now, where the story just completely and suddenly drops him out of any favor whatsoever. Even Gol now in chapter 41 is surprised the odds have now reversed, where it looks like Raiden is in danger. So I mean, if she's thinking it, then I can't be the only one wondering how it got to this. Despite my mixed feelings on the outcome of the fight, there were a lot of beautiful moments, especially the ones we got with Thrud and Raiden, that just make you wish we saw more of an interaction with them mid-fight, let alone some foreshadowing to how it got to that point where she could barely keep his body together, because I think that's somewhat necessary for the build up to what put Raiden at a disadvantage here. But I really doubt we'll see more of them together anyway though, so you know, at this point it's a lost cause. And even though I'm not much of a fan about how Shiva won this, I can still appreciate the final moment of dialogue he shared with Raiden, because ultimately these two could have been like brothers in a different time and setting, especially seeing how Shiva gives him a mercy kill by taking his head clean off and praising him for standing the entire fight. There's an actual sense of camaraderie here that ties very nicely. I'm gonna leave it there guys, but also I will be making a separate video for my thoughts on the fight overall sometime soon. But for now, as far as these two chapters go, I can't say the writing is what I expected based on how everything was trending, but I think for a story like this, it's important to, enjoy what you don't want out of a fight just as much as what you do want out of it, because, that's just the way it should be, I think. But regardless, I will be making a video soon for everything in depth about round 5, so if you're interested, please consider subscribing. That'd be awesome. And if you liked the video, please leave a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And also, please let me know what you guys are thinking about the fight in the comments. Love it or hate it, or whatever it is. I'm happy to hear any thoughts and takes you may have. But that's going to be it for me, guys. Have a great day.